Hello and welcome to the Critically Clueless. I'm the Monk, and today we are in Empire of Sin, and we are doing another episode of our Boss Spotlight series. Today is none other than Reyna himself. Now, I've spoken about him many times on the channel. I believe he has his own playthrough on my channel as well. So this video is all about him, just how viable he is as, a contender for one of the best bosses in the game. And obviously as a lone wolf as well, because why not? It's an achievement that the game sets you, so we want to know who we can use. And if you guys want to see Empire of Sin content, then this is the channel for you. We cover absolutely everything Empire of Sin. Every single corner of this game should be found on this channel, and if it isn't, I'd be very surprised. But if your question isn't answered, then comment in one of the videos and I'll do my very best to reply to each and every one of you. We also have an active and growing Discord. Quite a few members of the original family are in that Discord as well, so it's a perfect place to kind of jump in and talk about this game. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, well, this is a perfect time to hit that subscribe button as well. Anyway, enough of the chit chat, let's get into the video. So first up, we have the Empire bonuses. Now, the first Empire bonus got introduced with the precinct update, and that is escort agency. This are brothels within the precinct get an increase of 10%. Now, honestly, you don't get a humongous amount of money from brothels. Really, when it comes to money, you are looking for loan sharks, speakeasies, and of course breweries to get your whiskey. So brothels, although you're gonna have them and you can get a few synergy bonuses for having them as well, honestly, this one's just not really useful. After that, again, we have brothel ambience upgrade cost minus 20%. Another one we really don't need. Then we have hedgy bets, which is customer growth from casinos, is a plus 20. That's okay. Again, casinos isn't something that we tend to kind of need or rely on anymore for money, so it's another one that it's not really optimized for the current game the way it is. After that, we have Headhunter. Threat generation when killing other bosses is minus 50%, meaning that as we go through our game, the other bosses aren't looking at us as much as a threat. So it can be useful. It can be useful. Unfortunately, this is Empire of Sin. You're going to be going through every single boss in the game, unless you're going to go for the mogul win style, of course, or the buyout clauses. This, the Headhunter, could work a little bit with the, buying other bosses out, because they're going to see you less as a threat. So I guess the last Empire bonus is probably the most useful one out of all of them. Next up, we are on to the stats, and the first stat we should really talk about is the marksmanship. We've got a marksmanship of 66. Now, 66 isn't necessarily a bad stat. We will talk about this again in just a moment, though. We do have the defense bonus of 5, which is kind of standard, and we also have the initiative, the order of battle, when we go to initiate battle, where we are in that order. And 70 is actually a pretty good and respectable number. Again, we will have to talk about that again in a little minute. After that, we've got movement at 7, which is absolutely fabulous. It's the highest stat you can get in this. And basically means that from the very beginning of the battle, we can move 14 places along the field if we need to. After that, we have the 3 dialogue and event scores. We have leadership, persuasion, and intimidation at 40, 65, and 55. They really ain't that good, and none of them we're going to be writing home about. Some of these in-game events, some of these dialogue options, unfortunately, we are going to be failing. As we play through the game, they can be increased, so that's wicked. However, like I said at the beginning of the game, we could unfortunately lose out on some cooler things. Now let's talk about the traits, and I'm a bit confused about Reyna really. The first trait we should talk about is trust no one. We get a +1 movement, a +10 initiative, bringing us up to 80 and an 8 movement, and we also get a +10 marksmanship, which would bring us up to 76 if there are no friendly characters next to us or within 10 meters. It's a real interesting one. After that, we have got Hair Trigger. If we drop below 25% of our health, we have a 100% chance of using Hair Trigger, firing at somebody, which is brilliant. That also works for our AI allies as well. And then we have a Loner. Marksmanship decreases by 2 for every friendly character around us. Like I said, it's a weird one. Is the game trying to tell us that Reyna is the boss we should be using for Lone Wolf? Because if he is, well, then we're going to be getting that extra movement. So we're going to be able to move 16 spots, which would be pretty cool. We get the extra initiative, guaranteeing us, the first hit in battle, which again would be pretty cool. But I just don't see Reyna being that guy for me. Let me know if you have completed this game on the max difficulty doing your Lone Wolf run. I don't see Reyna being that boss for me personally, but that's what kind of these traits are suggesting. I do recommend having other gangsters with Reyna, but again, when you do, you're going to be having Loner kick in, which means that your marksmanship's going to decrease by 2 for every friendly gangster you have. And so when it comes to those safe house battles, when you're all kind of crowded and cornered, or the depot battles, you're going to be getting some major debuffs with Reyna, which is a bit of a shame. Honestly, I absolutely love Hair Trigger. Yes, it may have got a nerf, but I still think Hair Trigger is a ridiculously good perk. I hate going up against Reyna when I'm doing the safe houses, especially if I can't get to him and kill him off early. And I do think Hair Trigger is one of those that's going to really help because it works on your health, but it also works if your AI, if your allies are low on health. And quite honestly, at the beginning of the game, with those glass cannons you can quite easily pick up, your Hair Trigger is going to be triggering quite a lot. I feel like Loner is just a way to kind of debuff your Hair Trigger. I feel like that's what the devs were doing, putting them in together, because when you have a lot of gangsters, you're going to be using a Hair Trigger, making those depot battles, those safe house battles, a lot easier, especially if you give Reyna a ranged weapon. But then you've got the Loner, which is debuffing him, giving him a lesser chance of actually landing his hits. Next up, we have the tree build for Reyna. Now, personally, I like to pick Lifeline. Any character within 4 meters of you will bleed out instead of dying when the HP reaches 0. But I think Savior is an option. If you are killed, you will bleed out instead of dying. I quite like that. Light-footed, I'm a bit over that, to be fair. In tier 3, however, we have Break Shot. Break Shot is pretty good. Take aim at a target. A successful hit will break their gun, kind of taking that AI out of battle for at least a turn. Normally they run off and try and mend it. They've got Axe Throw here. Had this been Knife Throw, I would 100% take it. Knife Throw is an overpowered ability. I absolutely love it, but Axe Throw consumes 2 AP, therefore I don't like it. In tier 4, again, if we could have had Knife Throw, we would have had Poison Tip Blade. We don't have that, so I don't really like anything in tier 4, so kind of pick what you want. When it comes to tier 5, the only option really has to be Kill Chain. Fire a shot at a target. If that target is killed, your turn doesn't end, you get 1 AP, meaning, once again, the 1 AP weapons are kind of where it's at with this game currently. And mentioning that, moving on to what I would recommend you actually use weapon-wise with Reyna, I would say a pistol and a melee weapon goes very well. His main ability is pistols. You're not going to be getting a huge amount of kills with them, but it can happen, and you will be getting kind of free pistol kills by using your ability. Also, on top of that, Reyna's unique weapon happens to be a melee weapon. It may be the worst unique melee weapon in a game, but that's still what he gets. But if you want to look to get the most out of Reyna's hair trigger, it should be triggering a lot, especially if you are running 4 or 5 gangsters. Then possibly just stick with an SMG for Reyna. That way you can kind of guarantee that his hair trigger is actually hitting and doing damage. You're going to be getting those 3 kills. But if you want the pistol kills to be stacking, then just stick with pistol and don't have a main weapon. Now, Reyna's main ability is not overpowered like a lot of the bosses. Basically, you have a field of you that will light up, and anyone within that circle that activates, you will whip out a pistol and you will shoot them. You will attempt to shoot them. It doesn't look like you're actually targeting anyone. You're just kind of like whipping your gun out everywhere and, having pop shots. And generally speaking, you will hit every single person within that circle at least once. You can miss shots. It sucks. You can get crits, which is very nice. And you can do some real damage. More often than not, you will tap away at their health, especially late game, especially when you're going up against that AI with those, with those shields on, and that are over 100 health. You're only going to be hurting them a little bit, unfortunately. However, what I would say with Reyna is that he's one of those people that you could open with it on ambushes outside of rackets, weaken a load of enemies, then swap to your pistol and your melee weapon to finish off 2 enemies as well. So you can get kills with Reyna. His ability is definitely not overpowered like a lot of the boss's abilities, but it is still useful. It has got a slight buff. I think with the precinct update, it might have been 1.5 that the buff actually occurred. Reyna was my worst boss. He would literally ranked the worst out of all the bosses in the game for me personally, based on stats and abilities. Since then, he has got a buff. He has been tweaked slightly, and he is a little better. I wouldn't say he's one of the best bosses. I wouldn't say he's necessarily one of the worst bosses now. He does unfortunately have, in my opinion, the weakest unique weapon in the game. But you can just change your game based on that, based on that knowledge. I still think that melee and pistols are a very good way to go with Reyna. Maybe not his melee, but grab a melee. A lot of them do some decent damage, especially if you can get one that inflicts bleed, would be quite nice. And like I said, he is going to be netting you those pistol kills anyway. But that is my thoughts on Reyna. Let me know down in the comments what you think, if I've missed anything. If you have a completely different opinion, let me know down in the comments. And of course, if I haven't done your favorite boss yet, let me know down in the comments who you want me to do next. There's still a few bosses for me to cover and finishing off this series. So it'd be interesting to see, who I do next. First comment, I will do them. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and if you have, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget about that Discord as well. We'll welcome more members there. But until next time, I've been a monk, we've been a Critically Clueless, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Until then, of course, happy gaming. And for anyone that stuck around to the end of the video, this small little portion is actually for my Discord community. It's quite funny because at time of recording this video, they literally just popped in the Discord saying how bad the loot crates around the world are lately and that they're only turning up meds. And of course, I jump into the game to get this footage for the video. And what do I turn up? Oh, purple body armor. So at the end of the video, I'm going to show you my purple body armor. So enjoy, guys, and again, I will see you in the next video real soon. Take it easy.
I'll do it.